talking about him expressing frustrations and stuff and trying to make it a negative storyline. I laugh at that. Again, that's one of the reasons why we're continually progressing, because we're capable of tuning that BS out.
By the way, Tom Brady's been in this league 23 years. He's barking at coaches and players all the time.
Quarterback, listen, I'll just say this. I like Pickens a lot. Tomlin let Antonio Brown get away with this nonsense in Pittsburgh for a long time. And eventually he was like, I'm sick of it.
Okay, but...
And Antonio Brown ended up going off the deep end and was crazy. At some point, you got to rein these guys in a little bit.
Well, I think the culture in Pittsburgh has always been very high emotion. Like, Tomlin is a highly emotional coach. He likes highly emotional players. He likes people that love football. And I think that's their culture. They're sometimes a little, they unravel a little bit. But I'm going to defend this kid. He is great. They're not targeting him enough. By the way, did you see who he's barking at? The offense, he's one of the coaches.
Well, the offensive coordinator stinks.
Okay, so I'm going to defend him here. They are not targeting him enough.
Okay. So one day when I walk off the set and I start cursing, I need the rock. Colin, give me the freedom to be me. When I do that, you're going to be like, hey, I like the fire.
Well, you've never done it yet, so I'll give you one. Don't need to do it anytime in the near. And maybe when we don't talk enough soccer on Monday, you'll be fired up.
Please. All right, coming up next, we got the Rams. They claimed Baker Mayfield off waivers, obviously. Talked about it earlier in the show. They were third in the waiver order. But, Colin, interesting note, not one other team claimed Baker Mayfield.
Did the Rams do this because if he leaves, which he probably will, they get a comp pick? And they're trying to get draft picks like crazy in L.A.
Perhaps.
I think that's
I
part
also think they're not incentivized to lose games with the third and fourth string quarterback.
Right.
They need to win because they don't have the first round pick.
$1.5 million or something?
Yeah, that's nothing.
I think to me, I looked at it and I thought, this is a way to get like a 6th-round pick. I mean, they are literally trying to get anything they can do to get picks. I think they're going to trade Jalen Ramsey and get a pick. I really do. Or 2. They got to do some rebuilding here. They're getting costly at the top and very thin on the O-line.
Yeah, at what cost to win a Super Bowl is like a legitimate question, because you won the Super Bowl last year. You're the worst any Super Bowl champ has ever been the following year. And are they automatically turning it around?
Cooper Kupp injuries, Stafford injuries, Aaron Donald injuries. They have to make some big swings here. I look at Baker and I think to myself, McVay, it's a toy. McVay's going to have some fun with it, give him a little fire at the end of the year, but he's not a long-term. We all know he's not a long-term solution.
Yeah. All right, final thing here. Bowl season right around the corner. And players are starting to skip bowl games. Now, I know the old school media gets all huffy. You got to play to be part of the team. And these guys will get dinged when it's draft time because they skipped the bowl game. That's a crock of you-know-what. Well, Will Levis, the quarterback for Kentucky, announced today he's skipping his Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl, whatever that is.
I would skip that, too.
Yeah, I would as well, against Iowa, and he's declaring for the draft. Now, there's some other notable opt-outs. Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, the receiver, he's had some hamstring injuries. He's saying I'm not risking anything. Yeah. So he's not playing. Joey Porter Jr., the good cornerback out of Penn State. You know his dad was in the NFL. And 2 other big ones. The tight end, I believe, from Notre Dame, Michael Mayer, sounds like he's not going to play. And Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, who is dynamic, has declared for the draft.
Yeah, it's interesting. That got a lot of heat. Anthony Richardson. But you look at his size and his arm, somebody's going to draft him. He's one of those guys, depending on the YouTube clip or the game you watch, there are moments with him you're like, that some offensive guy in this league is going to draft Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
I get it.
How much I should divulge here, but I know someone close to Richardson, and I had him in my mock draft for Fox Sports, and the person reached out to me and was like, yo, he's not ready for the pros.
Okay.
There's one person chirping in his ear, you got to go, you got to go. Unfortunately, he listened to that person. Richardson is talented, but Colin, he's a project. This is not like a Pat Mahomes type situation
he's a 4th-round
where
pick.
he sits for a year.
That's right.
This is closer to like a Jordan Love 2 or 3 year thing.
But his size, movement.
Very talented.
Very talented.
You kind of wish these guys would stay. I know there's NIL money that he could have gotten. I'm hopeful for Richardson. I'm rooting for him, but I don't know if this was the right decision.
Yeah, he got a lot of heat on the internet. J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Live.
By the way, Will Levis is a project, but he's a 1st-round project because he got more starts. I think he's, but Will Levis throws a lot of picks, makes a lot of mistakes, but he is like big, thick, throws it, spins it. We all have different ideas about success. We achieve it in different times. We achieve it in different ways. You've recently changed jobs. Perhaps you're butting up against retirement. Well, everybody's interesting. So yesterday or the day before, John Robinson got fired, and Jason and I were on the show, and GMs don't get fired in the middle of the season. That's just not the way the game works. And we don't talk a lot of Titans. They're not a fun team to watch. But everybody's struggling to figure out why it happened. And I was, over the last 24, 36 hours, I've kind of, this is what I like to do. Like explore, read, see. I'll throw something at you. Number one, Mike Vrabel is the guy. He has, over the last 2 years, sort of established himself as a top 5-6 coach in the NFL. The owner sees that, reads that, hears that. Everybody loves Vrabel. Physical presence, smart plate. Everybody loves Vrabel. Number two is John Robinson, the GM that got canned, was a defensive lineman in college football. Guess what the Titans are really good at? Defensive line. A man knows what he knows. 5 of their top 8 cap hits are defensive guys. But every year with the Titans, don't we ask the same question? Do they have the weapons to beat Mahomes or Josh Allen? With Mahomes, you can deal Tyreek Hill. It hurts. It's not a great day, but you can deal Tyreek Hill, get picks and players, because Mahomes can carry a bad defense. He can carry a franchise. When you have Ryan Tannehill, you cannot give up a star wide receiver. But this former college defensive lineman who knows the defensive side of the ball, how many times have we seen this in this league the last 4 years? A defensive coach has no understanding of offense. Belichick, clunky, doesn't get it. Mac Jones has regressed badly the minute Josh McDaniels left. Brady left. He was just exhausted from Belichick's lack of offensive sensibility. Defensive GMs, John Robinson, can't get the offense right. He's whiffed on a great left tackle, supposedly, a complete whiff. He lets A.J. Brown go. If you have Ryan Tannehill, the last 3 times they've been knocked out of the playoffs, they've been knocked out by Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. And you got Tannehill. The one guy you can't let go of is his number one over-the-top target. The other thing is, and this is something I went looking over the last couple days. I don't think it's, like I've been in radio. I know radio. Like if I was in digital forever or tech, I would know tech. Same with you. You know what you know. You know your experience. So years ago, the Jets, I thought about you, had a GM named Mike McCagnon. Played defense. He was a defensive player in college. He was the worst offensive drafter I've ever seen. He hit a couple of home runs on defense. He was pathetic on offense. He drafted a safety over Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. He drafted Christian Hackenberg out of Penn State. I had a general manager in the league tell me he could not have possibly watched Christian Hackenberg play his last year of college and drafted him, period. He drafted him in the 2nd round. I went on the air at ESPN and said, that is the worst pick I've ever seen in the 2nd round. He never played. Nothing against the kid. I think he's a high school coach now. He's probably a great guy. But it's like, that guy, McCagnon, hit a couple of home runs on defense. He was a disaster offensively. And John Robinson, don't we always feel the same thing about the Titans? They just don't have the dudes offensively. They're still running an 80s offense with Derek Hill running downhill. And so my takeaway is Robinson's probably a competent GM, certainly great with a defensive line, a position he played in college. He's great. They always have a good D-line. Is that a coincidence? That what he played in college, his side of the ball, he's great at? Their defense is tough and physical and great up front. That's what he knows. That's what he played. That's what he does. That's what he loves. That's what he feels. So, when you think of Pete Carroll, you think defense. When you think of Belichick, you think defense. Look around this league. Mike Zimmer. Look how good the Vikings have suddenly got with an offensive coach. Mike Zimmer's an excellent coach. But in this league over the last 7 to 8 years, it's pivoted offense. You know that. I know that. And defensive GMs, experts, and defensive coaches, they better get good running mates. They better get them. But Mike Vrabel was distraught when they let A.J. Brown go. Do you remember the press conference? Mike Vrabel's not a guy that shows a ton of emotion. He's pretty stoic. He's pretty alpha out there on the sidelines. He's not a yeller and screamer. That was about as emotional as Mike Vrabel gets. He knew that was a horrible day if he wanted to beat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow. They had to count on a rookie that hopefully they would draft at wide receiver. Twitter confirms that 5.5 million users